Welcome all. Today I'm making the basic stone setup, how to create stones procedurally in Houdini. To do that, I will change the layout to my custom layout, which will just give me the more space to work in the node editor. To start with, I will use the geometry container and rename it to stones. I will start with the very basic geometry like box. In order to fracture the box, I will use the Voronoi fracture node. And Voronoi fracture needs basically geometry to fracture and points to distribute the cells. So for this, I will connect the geometry first in the first input, and I will convert the box into a volume with the ISO offset node. So then I have a like 3D volume. Before that, the box was just like 6 sides and there was nothing inside there. So if I have created the points for the box, so they will have like the surface points. We can visualize it with the scatter node, because scatter will scatter the points from on the geometry or inside the volume. So now I have the node that can create the points. So if I connect the geometry scatter and visualize it, so then I have the points actually only outside the surface or on the surface basically. If I template it, so maybe it will help a bit. But the idea is that I should have some volume, so then I have the points inside the 3D space. And if I now connect the scatter and visualize the points, so now I have the points in the 3D space. So I will reduce the number of points because they're too much for my need, something like 200 or something, and then connect the points to the second input of the Voronoi fracture, and this will give me the solid box fractured into pieces. So this is basically the the most basic setup is done. So I will select every node and use a network box to group them visually. This is only for the organizational purposes, and it helps if you just come back after like a couple of weeks or couple of days, so you know that which part of the nodes are doing what. So you can also add the notes here, but I'm just adding the title here. So stone base, right, and give it a color because I usually use the black color to start with, for basic setups. Now if I want to visualize those fracture pieces, I can use the exploded view node, and connect the out here and visualize it. So right now the Voronoi fracture gives me the inside and outside primitive groups by default. And if I use the visualize node, I can see that the outside, all the outside stone pieces here, or the geometry pieces, are just flat. And in nature, we don't have these kind of stones everywhere, right? So to overcome this problem, I will create a procedural setup to select the outside and inside groups, and then I will delete the outside group and keep the inside stones group for proper stones that look more like stones, And this kind of setup will help me if I use the, for example here, the sphere node there. And if I connect the sphere here, so then I have sphere as a stone setup, right? But the problem is still there because of its volume or the size. The outside geometry doesn't look like stones at all, right? So cut and delete the stone node and connect the box node back again to finish the setup. Now, to create the inside and outside groups manually, I will use a group create node. And connect the Voronoi with it. And to call it, I will call the inside points. I want to run on the points, and I want to name the group name that I'm creating same as the node group. For that, I will use the global variable $OS or operator string. So now the group I'm creating has the same name like the node name. Okay. So I don't need to create any base group. Instead, I want to go with the bounding regions or bounding box basically. And the inside group, because my box size is 1 meter by 1 meter, I want to reduce the size a bit. So I will use, let's say, 90 centimeters in this case. And I will also want to connect any, like based on the edges, to connect them together. So it will take care of the edges. So I have here now my inside point group. Then I will create another group node. And name it all points. So what this will do, will select every point in the geometry on the points, and same as before, I want to name my group just like the node name. So I use the $OS for the operator string, and now I have two groups where I have all the points and I have the inside points. So I need to subtract like a minus b from all the points, the selected that I want to keep, okay, which in return will give me the outside point. So for that, I will use the group combine node. And group combine node works like pretty much a Boolean type of interface, where I can say group name should be, all right, there. And I should not use the built-in inside and outside groups that I'm getting from the Voronoi fracture. Instead, I need to use the groups that I'm making by myself, that are like pretty much at the end of the node, end of the list. And here I can select all the points, right? And I want to run it sure on the points. All the points that are not equal to the points inside group that I have created with the bounding box. So it will select all the outside points. Group combine node in this logic is selecting all from all the points, only selecting the inside points and lefting me over with the outside point. So I will call it like outside points, and after that I will create, because they are just the outside point, I have to select them explicitly to delete them. If I apply the delete operation here, then it will not actually take care of the Boolean operation, so it's a limitation. So now I have the outside points. After that, I will create another group create node, and I will call it points outside geo, and I want to name my group like the node name, so I will use the operator string variable, and I don't want to run on the primitives, it should be on the points, and no base group. Instead use the edge distance to select these connected points and delete them. So for that I will enable the include by edges and by edge depth, and I will just enter any bigger number here, right? And here I need to point out the group what I want to delete. In this case I can select the all points. So I have to delete the 0 here, I don't want that, enter. So what this will do, it will select only the outside points that I have left over from the last group combine node. Okay, so this is one type of functionality. So I will group it into the network box, and then I will just change the color so I know that something is going on here that is not regular in the routine. I will title it with the functionality select outside points. Okay, now I have the outside point group and I need to delete that. For that I will use the delete node, connect the points, visualize, and I need to tell which group I want to delete. So do not use the groups here, they are created by different nodes. Instead create the customized group here, and I want to run it on the points. Select the points, and I have successfully deleted the connected outside points from my box volume. Okay, after that I need to add some detail because they doesn't look like so good rocks. But before that I will create a copy of the exploded view node by holding the Alt key and dragging, and then connect the delete node. So it will just help me to visualize what is going on in the geometry. So now I will add some detail. To do that I will use the RBD interior detail node. It has very useful settings, and you can pretty much create like so many there's so many possibilities to create different types of rock shapes or noises. So now I have some sort of detail here, and if I need to I can just set up some parameters or add some details and so on and so forth, like this. After that I will simply add the subdivide node to add more geometry here. So I have some sort of geometry here. I can increase the detail if I need to for proper rock looking shapes. So after the subdivide node I will add the fractal node, which will add more fractal noise to the geometry. But fractal needs to be adjusted because the values are way too high. So division should be just 1 because I'm adding already subdivisions there, and I want more smoothness in it. Any value will do that if I just slide it so you can see the effect. So I will just set it to 16 for instance, so they are more smooth looking proper rocks here now, and I can scale or do adjustments if I need to the way I want, right? So that's it. After that, to make it more smooth looking, I can add smooth node, because maybe sometimes the user want to use the normals and it will create abruptness, and if I use the smooth node, it will help to smooth the geometry. That geometry will not intersect with itself. So then I will simply add the exploded view again, or just drag and drop and connect this one so I can visualize my final rocks shapes here. So once I finish with this kind of basic setup, I will add a null node. It's a Houdini way of doing things, and it's very easy actually. I usually color my null node with a specific color, and I use the out for every finished geometry or finish operation in any network. So this later helped me to identify if I need to select it procedurally somewhere this node in this setup, right? So I want to visualize this, but I want to render this, so I will control click. So here I am pretty much done. Also, I want to create, I will call them out stones high res, and same way, because this was the delete node that was creating the low res rocks, so I will use better another exploded view node here, connect this one here, and I can name it. I can drop another null node, connect it with a color, and I can call it out stones low res. So this kind of setup is a very basic concept, but the idea is that I have two types of stones, right? One is high res and one is low res. And idea is that if I need to do some complex simulation where thousands of or hundreds of thousands of objects are there, so it's very beneficial for the system to have low resolution geometry and the high resolution geometry. So simulation will be done on the low resolution geometry, then results can be rendered from the high resolution geometry. So this kind of setup is very useful. And yeah, this is pretty much here the basic rocks setup. Thank you for watching, and I will try to put more and more videos as soon as I have some time. And yeah, see you later in my other videos. Bye bye.